Hi, and welcome to one of my special Mystical Quickie shows. This time it's about an unexpected paranormal investigation. Now, here's the backstory. On August the 28th, 2022, I was driving back from camping in the Poconos Mountains. And after a few hours of driving, I stopped in this little town called Gettysburg, Pennsylvania for a quick bite to eat. After lunch, I wanted to check out the surrounding area since it turns out that the famous Battle of Gettysburg was fought there during the American Civil War from July 1st through the 3rd in 1863. It is often referred to as the high water mark of the rebellion since the Northern or Union Army ended General Robert E. Lee's most ambitious invasion of the North. Gettysburg was the Civil War's bloodiest battle, and was also the inspiration for President Abraham Lincoln's immortal Gettysburg Address. You remember it as the 7 years ago speech where Lincoln said that ideals of equality and freedom are the bedrock of the United States as a nation, and that they are worth dying for, and that it's up to the living to carry on the work of those who died to protect those ideals. Now that was a powerful speech. Well, according to so many accounts, this area is now haunted, and tourists as well as paranormal investigators have reported seeing the ghosts of Civil War soldiers at many different battlefield locations. So, of course, I wanted to check it out myself using my mediumship abilities to connect with the spirits that were there during that famous battle. So I drove to the edge of the town and found a battlefield location that interested me, and then walked into the open field on a beautiful, sunny day where the huge battle had taken place in 1863. There was no one around when I walked into this vast country field and opened myself up to the space and invited any spirits from that famous battle to communicate with me. And I had no idea what to expect. The following audio recording was made by me in the middle of that battlefield immediately after my session. I knew I had to document and share with you my connection with 4 different spirits who wanted to tell me their own personal story from that Civil War battle. It's important to understand that these spirits were not stuck at this location, but came back to tell their stories since they still have a very strong emotional connection to this location and event. As you will see, this location changed each and every one of their lives forever. I hope you enjoy it. While walking around the grounds in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, actually the battlefields of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, I opened up into the energy and invited any spirit who wanted to come connect with me and tell me their story. I understand that they're not stuck here, but there are many that have this emotional connection to this land, to this experience. So I opened up and invited them. The first one I got was a farmer. It was a young guy. He worked on the farm and plowed the field. He came from Virginia. I got a sense of tobacco, cotton, the hard work, working in the fields, because that's all he knew. And how he went on an adventure, because it was something he had never experienced besides the typical life, hard life on the farm. So his motivation was also for the adventure, and was killed and died of his wounds here at this location. Ooh, yeah, I definitely feel like I was shot. The next one was someone who was older, 28 years old, and was on horseback. A leader, someone who's in charge of like cavalry. That's what it was, a cavalry. And in a position of leadership and of a better family than most people here. So he lived more in the city environment and was the oldest in his family. Very charismatic, comfortable with being in a leadership position, telling people what to do. It fueled his personality. And he was killed here in a crossfire, is what I got from him. He's telling me that they shot the horses, which was supposedly against the rules, in the sense that, I guess, gentlemen rules in battle or something like that. I just get a sense that they were shocked that the horses went down, and then they were attacked with bullets. But they were so shocked that the horses were targeted first, and then they were just amazed at the lack of discipline or the lack of rules and engagement, and so was taken out that way. The next is I got a female who was, I got a sense of feeding. I thought, well, maybe she's a cook. And then as I listened to her story, she was more of it's like a nurse or on field, behind the scenes or behind the battle, where injuries would be coming in. And I just sense of wrapping, attending those injuries, and caring for and feeding those injured soldiers. And she went into service because she wanted more out of life than just that traditional role. Okay, this is this age and I do this. She wanted a bit more responsibility, something different, to make a difference, to be out of that traditional mold of a woman of her generation. And then one of the soldiers she was attending, he's the one that she fell in love with, ended up marrying and raising a family, instilling certain characteristics in them of honor, responsibility, patriotism, because they both had been through the war. So she used that experience to create a family that would go on to be leaders in their community, people who understand certain values. But her adventure was definitely, she didn't die in battle, but used it to catapult her and her family into a different light, to become leaders, people who can make a difference. And then the fourth one I connected with was someone who's definitely an alcoholic, definitely found himself in prison. And the only way to get out of prison, the option was stay in or leave and join the service in the Civil War. So he did. Unfortunately, there was this tendency, of course, of his, since he was convicted of stealing and public drunkenness, is to see if he could continue having that kind of activity. So he would steal, they'd find alcohol, he would sell it if they came upon like a distillery, distilled, location that was distilling alcohol, and getting himself into that kind of trouble, then ended up trying to escape, and actually did escape with at least one other person.
And instead of being pursued, there was so much going on here at this particular battle that they kind of got away with it for a while, and then were captured after put back in prison for what's the word when you leave? Desertion. That's it, for desertion. So he just continued on with his behavior. Survived the war only because he deserted after continuing his typical behavior, even in war. So that wasn't a very happy ending for him. So those are my impressions here in this space, Gettysburg, actually the battlefield in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
So thank you for watching. Look for more of my mystical quickies on any of my social media sites. Subscribe and get alerts from my YouTube channel. Follow me on my Facebook or Instagram pages. So until our next mystical quickie together, take care of yourself in mind, body, and spirit.